What numbers you guys get? Negative. Negative what? 11. That right? Very good. And so then when you take the inverse of this long decimal, you get your angle, which is rounded 2 decimal places. What you get? Point 28. 117.28. That's what you should have gotten when you did the inverse of that long decimal. Remember, second negative transfers that entire long decimal down. You don't have to worry about any rounded answers here, okay? What angle do you want to find next? A. So we'll set it up. Cosine of A equals what? B squared plus C squared minus A squared all over 2 B C. Okay? Let's figure out A. Let's figure out what A is. Did you get that number before you took the cosine inverse? So then once you took the cosine inverse, you should have gotten 0.34, because it was a 6 after it, right? So it rounds up to 4. So A is 36.34. So what's angle B? Did we figure it out yet? What is it? 26.38. And there you go. How is this? Easy? Okay, yes, do example 4. I'll give you 4 minutes to do example 4. Yeah. This is an isosceles triangle, which means 2 sides are equal, which means that 2 angles are equal. So technically, all you have to find is one of those isosceles, one of those angles that are congruent, and then that's all you have to do. So then you just, use a little bit of geometry to find it out. So if I find A first, how would I set it up? 3 squared plus 2 squared. Very good. All over 2 times 3 times 2. Very good. So the cosine of A was a decimal. What kind of decimal was it? A repeated decimal. 0.3333, also known as 1/3. So then you take the inverse of 1/3, the cosine inverse of 1/3, because that's what 0.3333 is. And we got what for our angle? 70.53. So that meant that angle A was 70.53. Because it's an isosceles triangle, you also know which angle? B is 70.53. So then, add them and subtract them, and we find angle C to be 30 what?
38.94.
And there you go. There are all your angles. If you did not do it this way, say you actually went through the process and found C first, and then did you get that number?
No.
Sure. Okay.
I didn't. I screwed up though because I switched the wrong numbers on the formula.
So just take your time. Be very careful how you plug it in, also how you type it in. Okay? Question? Real quick, we won't actually get to set this up, to solve it, but I at least want to go over a couple of things with you guys with these types of problems, because there are word problems applications that can be involved here. Real quick, is anybody really into airplanes and flying, or even like ships and sailing or anything like that? Okay, so you've heard of the word bearing before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What about everybody else who does in the business that stuff? Bearing? Okay. If you're ever flown, okay? A plane flies on a particular bearing, okay? And a bearing is always based off of in the north direction, okay? Everybody knows where north is located, right? On the compass, old school, straight up, okay? So you have north, then what? East, south, west. Cool deal. Okay? So a bearing is based off of the north direction, okay? So if a plane is flying north and then it flies on a bearing, then that means that you're basically coming from the north direction either to, east or west. So this problem says the plane flies due north from Fort Myers to Sarasota, okay? So if I wanted to kind of make a picture to represent the situation, so I don't have a picture, correct? I'm starting at Fort Myers. And I'm flying north to Sarasota. Okay? Flying north to Sarasota. Then it says a distance of 150 miles. So, I traveled 150 miles flying north to Sarasota. It then says, then the plane flies at a bearing north 50 degrees east. North 50 degrees east. Well, east is to my right, correct? So from that point, when I get to Sarasota, I fly north 50 degrees east. And that 50 degrees will be located right here. North 50 degrees east. And using anything about what we remember from geometry, if this angle up here is 50 degrees, what's this angle right inside here? 130. Because these angles are what types of angles? Does anybody remember? Starts with S. Supplementary angles. So there you have 130 degrees. And they flew 100 miles and they ended up in Orlando. The first question asks you, how far is it from Fort Myers to Orlando? So you're finding a side. Does everybody see how the triangle was just formed? Okay? If I wanted to pull it out of the picture, I flew 150 miles north from Fort Myers to Sarasota. Then I flew north 50 degrees east, which would have made this 130 degrees inside of my triangle, to Orlando, which was 100 miles away. And so now I'm looking for this. And there's your triangle. So it's a side angle side. And I'm looking for a side for this particular situation. Okay? So I'm going to stop here. We're going to pick this up tomorrow. Your homework does not have any bearings on it. Okay, we're going to do those in class. But so you should be able to do your homework.